that recording going, and I'm also going to get live transcription going for those of you that would like to utilize that service. And okay, I think we're ready to get started. Welcome. And you're here to see how to sell without selling, the foundational elements of digital storytelling. We have Dr. Allana Da Graca with us today. She has been a SCORE presenter for us in the past, and we are very thrilled to have her back with us today. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about SCORE. SCORE offers a couple of different services. One of those is training. You are all here today for one of those training sessions. We also have tons of information and tools for you to utilize on our websites, other webinar recordings, short presentations, PowerPoints, tools, templates, all kinds of information on the website. The most important thing that SCORE does is mentoring. That is the most important thing we do. Mentoring is free and confidential. Our mentors are volunteers, and they want to help folks that are thinking about starting a business, are in the planning stages of starting a business, or already are in business. They're there to help you and guide you and answer the questions that anyone in those positions will have. We are still on video, phone, and email. Hopefully in person will be coming back soon. We don't have a date for that set for that at this point in time. What you should know about your mentor is that you can meet with them as often as you like. And sometimes as you work through all your different business issues, you'll transition from mentor to mentor as you need different experiences or expertise along the way. The nice thing about SCORE is it is a national organization. So if we can't find someone at our chapter or in our district, we have that database to reach out to nationally to try and help answer any of the questions that you might have. How do you get a mentor? That's easy, and I'm going to tell you how that's done here shortly. If you already have one, reach out to them. If it's been a while, bounce your new ideas and business plans, and they can help, answer those questions that you might have along the way. Looks like my slide got edited on me. So what I need to do is I will put that information in chat. To get a mentor, and there's 3 different ways today. One is going to be by visiting the chapter websites, which I will put into chat because they seem to have been erased from my slides. And the other way is to just put a note into chat to the panelists that'll only come to us as speakers, and I will reach out to you and make sure that the right chapter for where you live reaches out to you to connect you to that mentor, or you can send me an email and I will put that email into chat as well shortly. Let's see. Okay. I guess that's all we have. We don't have any housekeeping today because Allana and Jenny are going to sort of run the show, so to speak, today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and turn it over to you guys.
Right. So hello, everyone. So happy that you're here. And if you're as excited as I am, and you guys give me 1 second, if you're as excited as I am, I definitely would love it if you can say excited, like I came to get some awesome information about how I can build my business, how I can learn how to sell without selling. And I definitely want to see your excitement. So I've got something fun to do before I ask Jen to step in here for a second. So I want to know how many of you are super excited. I want you to know I love being engaging. I love when you chat it up. And I even have special giveaways just because you decided to play full out with me today. All right. Now, can we dance for a second? Now, one of the things things I love to do is to remind you, if you are a business owner, if you are a boss, if you have goals to increase your revenue and finally show up in your business in a new way, can somebody put, yes, that's me. I'm ready to boss up. I want you to put that in the chat box, and I want you to jam with me for just a few seconds. Is that okay? Because I love to actually remind you that it's okay to have some fun. Hey, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Hey, 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 to the left, y'all. Hey, to the right, y'all. Hey, bring it around, y'all. I mean, I want you to pretend we're together. I know. Hey, hey, I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Hey, who's got goals? Who's got places to go? Bring it around, bring it around. Hey, 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 I want to see those virtual smiles, y'all. Let me know you're excited. Let me know where you're streaming in from. Oh, hey, Boston is in the house. Hey, 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 I love it. I love it. Can I see some emojis? Cape Cod is in the house. Cambridge, go Canton. Hey, Central Massachusetts. Come on, y'all. I can't even see you. So, I'm coming out. Hey, I want the world to know. Mashpee's in the house. California's in the house. Metro West. Hey, hey, I love it, y'all. We're only gonna sing the first verse, y'all. Can you do that with me? Hey, Italy's in the house. There's a new meat coming out. Oh, and I just, come on, y'all. Hey, hey, I'm completely positive. I think this time around, I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Hey, all right. Okay, we can't keep dancing the whole morning. But good morning. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to have Jenny just let you know why she's here with us today. So give a big shout out to my success team director, Jenny. Hey, Jenny, why don't you let people know?
All right. Hi, everybody. As Dr. Allana said, I am with her success team. And if you have any questions throughout the session today, please feel free to just go ahead and put those in that chat window to host and panelists, and I'll go ahead and reply to you there and try to address any questions that you have. I also want to let you know to stick around all the way until the end of the session today so that you can learn how to stay in contact with Dr. Allana. Also, next week, we'll be having a special spotlight coaching event immediately following the part 2 of the workshop. So we'll be giving you some more information about that as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. I appreciate you. And anytime you have any questions, you can always directly message Jenny right here and just let her know if you have a question about a link or so. So I first want to say big shout out to SCORE. SCORE is an amazing resource. I want to thank Teresa and everyone else that's a part of the SCORE Mentor Network. I think, every entrepreneur needs a place to go when it comes to thinking about, how they're going to build their business. So I want you to know that I am here to support you as well. And today, if you're ready to deep dive, if you are ready to do something new, just put in your chat box, Dr. D, I'm ready to do something new. I'm ready to really grow my business like never before. And if that's you, then you are showing up and you are ready to go. So I want to know, how many entrepreneurs do I have in the room? Put number 1 if you are a new entrepreneur, and put number 2 if you're ready to scale your business. I mean, you really are at a place where you want to expand your business and do something new. Put number 3 if you're like, I don't even understand how to use all of these tools, but I want to have mega growth in 2022. So I want to know who's in the room, and don't be shy. Let me know, what industry are you in? Who do you serve? Why did you come today? I want to know. And here's the big question. When you think about the word sell, what comes to mind? Are you nervous? Are you like, oh my goodness, I hate it? I mean, I really want to know, what are some words that come to mind? Why did you show up today? Now, my number one promise to you today is that as we go through this workshop, I'm going to tell you my authentic truth. I'm going to tell you my story, but I'm also going to give you so much ideas and values around how you can leverage your business that you can't walk away here without having at least one strategy that you can implement today. Is that good? And then I'm going to be always asking you, are you still with me? Because I will be actively looking at the chat box. So don't forget, engage, make sure to ask your questions, and there's plenty of room for that. Also, there are two parts to this. So today we're talking about foundations, and the next week we'll be talking about how you can then execute these foundations I'm talking about today. So welcome. And if you didn't know who I am, my name is Dr. Allana Da Graca. I'm the president of Turning on the Lights Global Institute. And I decided one random day to go live on Instagram. I had no following. I had no backing at that time. I was an educator looking to also expand my impact. And so out of one day, I picked up my phone and said, hello, my name is Dr. Allana Da Graca. And there wasn't anybody there on Instagram, right? But I knew that I wanted to show up in a new way. So I love it. Let me look at some of the comments. Don Paul says, I'm terrible at selling. What are some of the other comments? You do training. I see people do trainings. You're a home birth midwife. I love it. Mary's a content marketer. You are in the right room. So we are ready to go. Give me 1 second so I can share my screen. So one moment. All right. So today we are talking about how to sell without selling. And, when we think about this, sometimes, when we think about the word, we have a lot of anxiety, right? So let me just address some of the anxious thoughts. Now, anytime I'm sharing, if there are things that stand out to you, please say, oh my goodness, Dr. D, yes, that rings a bell. So sometimes when we are trying to grow and expand our business, we have to be willing to affirm our desire for growth. So can you do me a favor and write, I can upgrade my life and business? Because if you can't feel 5-star about what you're doing, it's hard to charge 5-star, right? And I need you to know that today I want you to change some of your thought patterns, and also realize to never neglect the personal development that's needed as you then leverage your business goals. So when you know your business value, you're able to, number one, transform lives. You feel excited to serve. You feel like you have a sustainable business, and you feel like you can serve people who are excited to work with you. I mean, how many of you want that? How many of you want that sustainability that says, oh my gosh, when I wake up in the morning, I don't go, oh my gosh, I have to sell, but you go, oh my goodness, I get to serve, right? But people don't value what they don't pay for in many cases. And what I have found with many business owners who are either trying to scale or pivot is either that they are often offering too many discounts or offering too many things for free, right? And then it's kind of like a piece of you is taken away as time goes on, because the thing that you are an expert or a subject leader in, you took time to create that. Now, let me just ask you this question. Put in the chat box, how many years did it take for you to become the boss that you are? How many certifications did you take? How many hours did you invest? What was the time that you had to put into becoming the business owner that you are? Oh my goodness, Chris says it took him 30 years. Who else? Come on, you guys. 7 years, 34 years, 10 years. Oh my goodness. 9. Wow. 11 years. Wow. I believe I have some specialists and experts in the room. I believe I have some amazing entrepreneurs. So look, I want you to know, here's the reality though. Sometimes, even when we have all of this expertise and specialty, we sometimes look like this image right here. How many of you can relate? You spent all this time serving and studying and qualifying yourself and showing yourself approved with that product or with that service, and somehow you feel completely overwhelmed. Well, you're not alone, and let me just share why. Because the solopreneur journey is not easy. How many of you ever had to balance a full-time job while kickstarting your side hustle? How many of you felt like, well, I have all the tools, I just don't have time to implement? And can we also talk about the fact that every morning, without you even asking, your email is already flooded with about 50 opt-ins you forgot you opted into? I know. Been there, done that, right? You opted into all these things. They're all coming your way. And yet you are looking for that outcome. Not only that, but sometimes you just don't feel like you have time to rest, and you're willing, but you're tired. And these are the realities of the solopreneur journey. You're in create mode, but with no conversion. Who can relate? Someone let me know. I'm not talking to the screen by myself. I mean, hopefully you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I woke up. Now, when it comes to me, I had the CMF plan, the cross my fingers plan. I thought that it was just enough to have my skill set and my expertise. And every now and then I would throw out something I was working on with hopes that someone would sign up. But how many of you know that CMF plans don't work, especially now with so much more technological advancement? So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. See, I love teaching. That is my backstory. I researched persistence, what makes people reach goals or not reach goals, and digital communication for many, many years. And I taught for many, many years, but I wanted to make an impact outside of the classroom. I wanted more flexibility. I wanted freedom from debt. I mean, how many of you can relate? I wanted to remove the glass ceiling that I felt I had experienced at times. And I really wanted a change in routine. Because truly, let me just share this with you. And I hope this helps. 1 second, I gotta turn off my share for a second. Truly, sometimes when we are so good at what we do, we take for granted and think everybody knows what we know. Can you put I'm a genius in the chat box? I am a genius. I know it feels weird. You kind of feel like an imposter. Why is she telling me to say that I'm a genius? But look, there are people that have no clue about what you know. There are people, literally millions of people on the internet right now looking for someone in your sector. And I know you may not feel like a genius because you do this every day and it comes like this to you. But can I just tell you that there are millions of people looking for solutions that you naturally have. But it's hard to remember that when you're trying to build a business. So I just want you to know that if you've ever felt like that, you are not alone. And so I decided that I would try to start a new business. Now, I want to ask you this question. How do you think I felt when I said I'm going to step away and kickstart a new business? And I'm going to kickstart a new business online. What do you think some of my hangups were? I just want you to throw that in the chat box. What do you think my fears were? What do you think my inhibitions were? Because it definitely wasn't that I just showed up one day and just thought it was going to be successful. Definitely not. Good. Do I have enough social media experience? Good. The fear of failure? Absolutely. Doubt. Okay, good. Now, let me also share that in this time, see, a lot of times in entrepreneurship, people don't talk about the personal because this is just business. But how many of you know your personal impacts the professional? So at that time, Hubster and I, we had just left living in Portugal, okay? And I decided when we came back to the States that I would start a new business. So I wasn't going to take a full-time job. That was scary because we had bills to pay. Not only that, but we were about $30,000 in debt. Do you guys hear me? Is this good? Not only that, but we were in the middle of moving and I had a dollar store table in the apartment that we were in because we were just transitioning. And so we had our things in one home and then we were transitioning. And I hope you guys are still with me. Who's still with me? Say still with you. So there we are. And I go, Hubster, I don't want to go back to full-time work. I finally want to have more impact. I really want to use my skill sets to touch so many more people. And he looks at me and he's like, are you ready for the dip? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the dip, because this is going to take some time. And so not only did I have the inhibitions and the self-talk, but I also had the very pressing need to pay bills, right? So I want you to know that if you've ever felt like that, if you ever had something negative in your bank account, you're looking at someone who was able to build a six-figure business without a bank loan, without these big investors, right? But just decided I would show up in my genius, I would be authentic, and I would authentically offer my best value. And I decided in that moment that I did not care how many people were going to view a video or how many people were going to say they liked what I posted. So how many of you are still with me? So I want you to know, even if you are not a social media genius, or even if you don't feel comfortable being on video or using social media, I want you to know that we all need to pivot. Just put pivot in the chat box. We all will have to pivot in order to make sure that we can expand our business. And for me, I remember how scary that was. But what grounded me was putting a picture of those that I wanted to serve right on my desktop so that I could look at them and remember, why am I doing this? So I just wanted to share a bit of that so that you could understand, I understand that. So what happened? Well, as a result of starting my business, I was then able to give 10,000 hours of coaching and training to people all over the world. I became a micro influencer. I helped womenpreneurs and experts earn thousands of dollars. And I became a first responder during the pandemic, formed international partnerships, and helped a lot of newpreneurs develop digital courses, accelerators, and digital think tanks. So I want you to know that it is possible for you to not only sell, but create a business that you actually love and not loathe, or expand that business, okay? So when you are able to work in your passion, you're able to have what I call soul level joy. I was able to work with individuals like Patty Aubrey from the Jack Canfield Group with Chicken Soup for the Soul, with people like Susie Carter, who helps companies go from $10,000 to $10 million, and was able to form a tribe and a community around my slogan, upgrade my life in biz. So if that sounds juicy to you and you want that soul level joy, put soul level in there because it is absolutely possible. And then I don't have time to talk about all of the features and collaborations, but I do want you to have soul level joy. So I want you to do me a favor and take a screenshot of this screen, because this is really important, what I'm about to share. Now, one of the number one things you want to start thinking about is responsive design. Responsive design, when it comes to how you will attract and appeal those individuals who you consider your constituents. Constituents are just individuals who have not bought from you yet. Maybe they have, or maybe these might also be co-collaborators with you. But there are a lot of digital tools today, foundational social media tools, that you can think about using. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of you have at least one social media site? And let me know which one you have. Relative to business, not so much for personal use, but how many social media sites do you presently have? Okay, I see Facebook, I see Instagram. I see Instagram, good. Facebook, you got all three, good. If you have more than that, that's wonderful. Okay, so this is great to think about, because when you are using a social media tool, I want you to remember a couple of things. So a lot of times we've seen when the pandemic happened, a lot of people pivoted online, but unfortunately, some people decided that they would do things like, number one, buy followers. Please don't buy followers, because oftentimes you're buying bots that have nothing to do with your brand. I'd rather see someone focus on finding people that are really relative to your brand versus just thinking that having a high number of people following you is the solution. Yes, follower consumption is great, but that's only relative to how many of those potential consumers are really your target, right? So let me just share with you a couple of things. If you are a service provider, for example, you're a coach, a health and wellness guru, maybe you do something around cooking, then Instagram is going to be a great place for you to be for a number of reasons, right? In these types of settings on Instagram, it's just a bridge, it's a tool, but your goal is not necessarily just to see how many followers you gain. You want to use these tools as a tool of engagement. And as you know now, short videos right now are what is causing the higher algorithms for your videos or your posts to be shown. So if you've never done anything with Instagram Reels before, then you may want to consider doing that. And an Instagram Reel just allows you to post a very short form video. Now, what did I play when you guys first came in? Why don't you let me know, what did you hear me dancing to when you first came into our meeting? Good. Uni Love says she heard I'm coming out. Not only that, but what were my facial expressions as the song was playing? I played Diana Ross, right? And anyone who is in the Gen X community and beyond, boomers, you name it, you would know that song because it brings a certain level of joy for that given generation. So in a TikTok or even an Instagram video or Instagram Reel, as a business owner, one of the things you can decide to do is pick one theme or one core message relative to your brand and decide to show the fun around that brand. And it can be something that you do as a service, but it could also be around a product. It just depends on the angle of how you're sharing it. So if you are already using Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, try to ask yourself, how can I create short videos? So the video should be anywhere between 9 to 20 seconds. We don't want a 1 minute long video. You want to think short form video. Okay. So when you are doing that, you're building up engagement. And again, try not to buy bots and try not to buy followers. Stay authentic to your brand. Some of the other things that you can do, right, is product branding, affiliate partnership strategy sharing, thinking of yourself as a brand, right? You can think about master webinars, on-demand lectures, live events, and workshops. And when you see these tools on the left, I want you to pay attention to the arrow going to the right. Triad pathways means that a particular target needs to be touched 3 different ways. They may be touched by going to your landing page. They may be touched by you leading them to have a discovery call. And they may also be touched by you offering some kind of sampler experience. That might mean that if you have a product, maybe you're going to build community around that product and invite people to an actual masterclass with you around the product. Okay, so these are some non-fee ways for you to start building traction. And the thing about using social media is that it's not about a one and done. It's really being clear about how in a given month or a 30, 60, 90-day period, you are driving home your brand's core message. It's the same thing when we think about Starbucks, when we think about McDonald's, when we think about brands of coaching, right? Every single one of those brands has a strategy in mind. And usually we usually will think of a hashtag, right? So whenever you see a company using a new, getting ready to launch a new campaign, you will see them using a unique hashtag. Well, did you know that you could create your own unique hashtag? Somebody put hashtag in the chat box. When you create a hashtag that's unique to your brand, it sets you apart and it allows people who really love and like you to build community around the brand. Now, we all know now at this stage, many people understand how to post on Instagram. You understand that the hashtag, which is the number symbol, which is also aligned with a given word, creates community. So one of the things that I did was create a unique hashtag called hashtag UPML. And that came out of the fact that whenever I would go and speak places, a lot of the women kept telling me the same thing, and men too. Oh my goodness, I just need to upgrade. I want to grow. I want to expand. And so I thought, what is a way I can create a hashtag that would bring together a robust community? And so I started telling people to use hashtag UPML in every post as they responded to me. What came out of that was a group of 23 women who said, we love it. Will you throw together a conference? At that time, I was like, a conference? I'm just doing this, as going live on Instagram. I had no idea I was building a community. So social media is any form of online communication where you are building community around a mission, your core value, or something of interest. Now, I want you to also realize that not only will your hashtag, your unique hashtag, create community, but also when you do that, you can align with other brands. Now, I was giving a SCORE workshop, I want to say 2 years ago, around the same topic. And it was interesting because there was a woman in the back of the room who was creating t-shirts. And she said, you know, normally around this time of the year, I usually create t-shirts for school children, school-age children, but of late, no one has been reaching back to me and I don't know what to do. And I said, well, what's the core message around your t-shirts? And she said, well, my t-shirts are really to help young people build confidence and to avoid bullying behavior. And I said, oh my goodness, are you seeing all of the money around you? And she said, what are you talking about? I said, oh my goodness, there are a gazillion of schools. There are a gazillion of parent resource associations. Like, why are you not reaching out to them? And she's like, I didn't even think of that. You see, there's a bigger story around your company. Somebody put that in the chat box. There is a bigger story around my brand and around my company. And the question is, what story are you telling, or what is the story you plan to tell? So thank you, Abby. So yes, there's a bigger story around what you are doing, and you have to think about, how am I going to tell it? So one of the number one things I suggest, if you haven't done so, is to think about how you can build online credibility. Only 26% of the small business market has tried to create their own online e-commerce store or has tried to do anything with online engagement. Let's talk about this. 3.5 billion people use social media, so you want to build a following. You want to become the go-to expert for what it is you're doing. Please do not whisper what you do, because as good as what you do is, no one's coming to your basement to find you. I know I said it, no one's coming to your basement. And what are they doing right now? They are actually going on the internet to find you. Now, you don't have to spend a big budget on Facebook ads. Where you don't invest money, you have to decide on how you want to invest the time. And really what I have found is that creating robust community events like live workshops, as mentioned before, or a training experience, or giving people a taste of who you are as a brand is one of the fastest ways. And, you know, sometimes we actually forget all the people we know. On average, the average person without any following in their emails has about 200 contacts. Now, you might not think that these are people you should be connecting with, and we won't even talk about your LinkedIn. There are so many opportunities around you. So somebody put, there are opportunities all around me. There really are opportunities all around you. So one of the first things I highly recommend you do, as I mentioned earlier, was think about the story you want to tell. What is the major story you need to tell, right? And if you haven't really been posting relative to your core brand message, that's one of the first things I would ask you. If you were one of my clients, I would say, what is the core value, right? So when you're talking to people, you don't want to just necessarily tell them what you do. You want to show up in your genius with that excitement. And that can be, I have had the pleasure of signing up clients in an Uber ride. I've had the pleasure of being on LinkedIn and just joining in a conversation and meeting people that way. What I want you to see is that there are lively discussions happening every day. And if you show up authentically in these types of responses that you see online, or if you're in these different social groups, you want to think, how can I actually add value whenever I share, whenever I post? And one of the number one things I think is so funny is when I see someone tell me the business that they have, and every morning when I look at their consistent posting, they're posting everybody else. Can you please put, it's time for me to take a status update on my own business? Like, in the morning time, you should be posting something relative to your brand. And I'm sure you appreciate all these other people, but it would be fabulous if you would have a consistency in your posting that really showcases your value, your mission statement, or something that you are up to. All right. So yes, take a status update. And great question, Loveland. I'm going to get to that in a second. I see that there. So yes, you want to think about that. Okay. So again, social media is just where you are using these tools to build, but you never want to exchange social media as the sole place, because should any of those sites shut down and you haven't thought about your system, then you have just lost a big ability for you to engage with those who want to see you. So during this pandemic, look, we're going to need people to be creative. We're going to need you to have authenticity. We want you to think about your call to actions, right? So every time you post, you want to build call to actions to increase the engagement that you have. You also have to consider your market research, right? What do those people you want to help, what do they really need, and what are their pain points? Okay, so I have some questions for you to answer. You can answer them now, or you can answer them later, but here are some questions. I asked you earlier, how many social media sites are you on? How often do you post? When you watch posts, what types of posts do you prefer? And what do you want people to do once they click on a message? How many new individuals do you connect with on a daily or weekly basis? And how many follow-up conversations do you have after a week of posting? Here's a big one. I really want you to test yourself here. You can put this in the chat box or you can write it to yourself. But what is the revenue you would like to make after people sign up with you? And 9, do you believe that this is possible? So you can answer these questions here, or you can send them to Jenny. Jenny will share her email below. But look, when you post, you have to think of having what I call the click method, having a clear message, locating the need of your audience, thinking about the ideation of your strategy, and connecting with your constituents. So when we're thinking about locating the need of those we want to serve, we have to think about the psychographic of those we want to serve, like the age demographic. What are their behaviors, right? So we have to think about all this. Now, I will tell you, well, let me ask you this question. How many times do you think the average consumer will go to someone's website or social media feed before they make a purchase? Put that in the chat box. I'm just going to wait. How many times do you think the average consumer will spend on looking at a website or a social site before they make a purchase? Good. Someone says 3, 5. I'm seeing 8. I've got a surprise for you guys. So the average person, now the higher the investment, the more times that person is going to look at what you have, up to 18 times, 18, before they actually make a sizable investment. And because of that, that is why you have to be so professional and clear on your strategy. Now, if I were to ask you to Google yourself, I would ask you to Google yourself. I would want you to look at the first 5 things that pop up. Is it the same message? Now, sometimes as brands and solopreneurs, we've got our hands in different things, but you want to realize that when someone's looking you up, they're looking for credibility, consistency, and the clear fact that your solution or product is indeed what it is that you can help them with. But unfortunately, when people come to me, I often find either there's a product problem with the messaging online and there's no credibility, not that you don't have credibility, but that maybe people are not able to grasp all that you have done. And sometimes because we're great technicians at what we do, we think, oh, it doesn't really matter what my site looks like. Oh, it really doesn't matter what I'm posting. You should know me. I'm that person that has 10 to 15 years. Guess what? They don't know it. And if they are on the internet and they don't know you at all they have to hang on to is what you post. And then they will go back to your site and they will either make a decision and say, oh, this person, maybe they can't help me. That is why I need you to shift how you might be doing things online. I want you to shift the conversation, right? And when people land to your landing page or when they engage with you, start to talk about them, not you. Start to tell them that you understand what they've been through. A lot of times we're told when we go to networking events, you know, that those 2-minute things we're supposed to say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I've been in the business for this many years, right? How many of you have been there? But one of the things you want to start to do is to have authentic and pointed conversations. And one of the ways you do that is you have to have a clear understanding of what it is that your potential client feels like they are missing. So one of the things in our tribe that we do is we have our clients practice a boss statement. And that boss statement not only tells you who it is you serve, it not only tells you who it is you serve, but it also highlights maybe a case study. And it also then points that person to say, is there a way that I might be able to serve you and help you? Now, can you put in the chat box, serving over selling? I'm serving, I'm not selling. When you see that what you do truly brings value, peace of mind, saves people time, when you see that you are actually serving people, you don't have that thing over your head like, oh my gosh, I gotta go sell. How many of you does that help? Because for me as an educator, the thought of going into business was so scary because all I saw was those get rich quick things. And I kept seeing people tell me that I had to do it this way. And I'm like, that's just not me. I want you to know if you're an introvert, you can be a solid business owner. And if you're an extrovert, you can also be a solid business owner. But you have to think about story, and you still have to think, how can I tell my story? Introverts, I want to tell you right now that Clubhouse is a great place for you to be because nobody has to see your face. There are robust conversations going on right now in Clubhouse, and you can start a community or you can be a part of a community. You can add your value that way. But extroverts, if you know you're an extrovert, I need you to start thinking clear about your video strategy because that's one of the #1 ways that people are consuming information. Tamara says, don't you need an invite to be on Clubhouse? You do need one. So you know what? Send me an email and I would love to invite you to be a part of our Clubhouse room. Great question. So when you think about selling as a service and that you are serving, you lift off those anxious thoughts about actually, adding value to what you're doing. So how many of you are still with me? I just want you to say, still with you, Dr. D. I haven't gone anywhere. And give me one more second. But I want to thank you for your attention today. And I want you to just look at this little example that I often share, right? So this is an example of someone. It says Amber meets Diane. Amber is a personal trainer, has worked at a gym setting for years, but now she wants to have her own consultation company. And she decides, I need to meet more people. So she meets this woman on my left. We'll call her Diane. She has to understand the pain points. Take a screenshot of this. She has to understand the pain points of those that she wants to serve. She might know that Diane feels like she's at her job at a glass ceiling. She lacks confidence. She wants to plan to reach more personal development, and she wants to lose more weight, right? Diane is 36. So if we were to think about this and Diane stumbles upon Amber's site, she has to know that Amber has her best interests in mind. Okay, so when we're looking at who we really want to target in 2022, you can't skip over this. You have to think through, what are the pain points that I say I want to help? How can I really offer these solutions, right? And so the #1 thing you can do is to build brand equity, and that is with relationship building. And you build those relationships by having a consistent posting schedule, which we will showcase in our part 2. Okay. But look, your know-how, your knowledge, all these things that you do not sugarcoat it. It took you 20, 30 years to become who you are. So I need you to see that you do have brand assets. These are assets, right? Your certifications, who you are in the marketplace, how you solve those problems. And can somebody please put in the chat box, stop giving too much from the buffet. You don't want to keep giving all your value away for free. When you have a solid service, high value, you want to be able to showcase the fact that there's something special about your brand and business and your service, right? It's kind of like many of us love the thought of going to Paris. We love the thought of standing near the Eiffel Tower, but until we invest on that plane ticket to get there, we're not going to experience it. But the value is in that experience of the journey and getting there. And there's nothing wrong with choosing resources like SCORE, or like in my case, Turning on the Lights Global Institute. There's nothing wrong with actually asking for help, right? So today, as we wrap up, get ready to wrap up and take questions, I want you to know that your opportunities are here. If you felt overwhelmed, you didn't know what to do, the number one thing I would tell you to do today is to think about your core message. The second thing I will tell you to do today is to look at one of those social media platforms that you are using. And from today on, every single time you post, think about the call to action. Because if you're just posting to post, we don't need you being on a hamster on a hamster wheel. When we post as a business owner, there's only two things we want to have happen. Either we're building engagement, or we are actually converting our potential consumer into becoming a client. So if we have a high investment opportunity, that means we need to build more consistent posting. Now, your posting can be something where you're posting twice a week. I do not recommend that you post every single day. And today, with so much shifting algorithms, it's okay to take time to create quality posts versus just showing up every single day. But when you post at least twice a week, you are posting things that are relative to your brand. Now, if you're definitely not someone who's extroverted, you definitely want to use a blog tool. You definitely want to use these tools that allow you to still maybe even do audio recordings over a visual image that still showcases something about your brand. Okay, so you want to think, what are my triad pathways? And then lastly, I would prepare to come next week so you can learn how to actually execute, because I'm going to be talking about how to actually engage in the direct messaging, how to actually turn consumers from your followings, how to actually turn these constituents into consumers. So we're going to have actual time in the next session to do that. And then we actually have a follow-up. We have a follow-up where we're going to do spotlight coaching with your actual company. So how many of you are excited about that? So I want you to know that you can register to come to the next SCORE workshop there. And then I'm also going to have Jenny put a special link in there so you can have all my information about what's coming up, the deep dive. There's a special video, notes from today, and things like that. So Jenny's going to share that. But I definitely have one more homework assignment. Who says I want a homework assignment? Because I actually like when you actually do work. So if you enjoyed part of today, here's the homework assignment I want you to do. Number one, make sure you click on the link that Jenny has just put there. Number two, answer the business communication assessment essay. When you answer that and you email us, we are going to give you a virtual voucher that's going to help you participate in that group deep dive next week. And I really want you to recognize that money is all around you. You just have to show up in your business differently. And let me just share a few last slides. Give me 1 second. So remember, you want to bring us on the journey. You want to make sure that you're thinking about your digital story, and you want to recognize that you don't have to invest all of this money in Facebook ads. You can actually just start by telling your story and sharing your genius with us. So now I want to open up the floor for questions. You can post your questions in the chat box below. Remember, again, Jenny just put her email there. If you have questions, you want to follow up. Also, Jenny, if you don't mind, can you put our website so people can also subscribe? But I want to pause here and ask if there are any specific questions. Susie, also SCORE will be posting this. SCORE will be posting the replay of this video from today, but also we also have a link here so you can catch some of the notes. And so Jenny will message you as well. Okay, so if you want to learn more about Turning on the Lights Global Institute, feel free to go to drallanadagraca.com. But are there any questions that you guys have? Can you speak more on the concept of giving away too much of the buffet? Yes. So a lot of times when sometimes we have a lot of value, we may not have a lot of followers. So we keep thinking that we need to share information. Well, you can share information, but you don't want to give so much information away that it actually decreases the value. I want you to think about how, for example, when you would go to the mall and they would just give you a small teaser of something, right? So when we're thinking about developing triad pathways, we give people a sample of what we do, right? That might mean give them a glimpse, but you don't want to actually give them all the secret sauce, because in fact, that's actually why you have them engaging with you. A good opt-in is giving a teaser, or maybe you have an ebook, or maybe there's something like maybe a strategy session they can have with you. But you definitely at some point want to put boundaries around your unique value. And so part of that is understanding, what is my unique value? What is it? What is my positioning in this industry that is unique, that I can offer my service and not shrink on whatever the monetizable value is of that? Would you recommend making a weekly newsletter or monthly? Great question, Serena. So I like the idea for consistency of a bi-weekly newsletter, because that gives you more time to think about your content. It's not always about having, every day having content, but if you have something that is rich and robust, and maybe you can even have guest blog posts from others in your sector, or individuals that parallel your brand, that's something that might be helpful. I see a question here. I have a retail business selling candles and skin products. Would it be ideal to use myself as the model in the videos, or should I hire someone, not a size 2? Okay, so if you have a retail business, you can do a couple of things. You don't actually have to be on the video. You just want to use tools that allow you to showcase some of the skincare products, right? So you can use different parts. For example, in your case, you might just showcase your hands with your products right next to it. There are many tools like Vimeo Create that help you create wonderful, quick videos. And let me put that in the chat box. Vimeo Create is just a video tool that you can use. One second. Vimeo Create. You can use a tool like that. There are a lot of quick video tools that you can use to create really short ads that people can consume. And then but you have a bigger story around your brand. So if you wanted to have like a blog post around your skincare products and things like that, then yes, I would recommend that people get to see you, but they don't have to. It just depends. How important is IG Reels if our demographic is baby boomers? So Sarah, I would want to know, what is your actual product, if you don't mind me asking, so I can answer that. And I'll come back to you. Catherine, I've heard you can make great engaging videos and posts on TikTok and Instagram, but no one will see them. So here's the thing, Catherine, when you're creating on TikTok, we don't want to think about how many people will see us in the beginning. Think about the message that you want to share and start creating. Sometimes on these tools like TikTok, we want things to be perfect, but TikTok is really created for people who love, music and movement. So you can start to, find other brands that are similar to yours on TikTok and see some of the things that they are posting. I also have a training about TikTok. So if you want to email Jenny, we'll make sure to send that to you, and anybody else who wants to see that training. But I want you to know that you've got to start thinking about, how can I use these digital tools? I'll tell you this story, which is a real story. I was posting on Instagram, consistently on my Instagram stories at the time when Instagram stories were higher on the algorithms. And I was posting. Now, I think when you post on social media, your posts are not supposed to look perfect. It's not about you looking business all the time. And it's about you showing the behind the scenes nature of who you are as it relates to your brand. That's why you see people looking dressed down. Sometimes they're in their kitchen. So it might feel awkward in the beginning, but you really just are trying to show the authenticity of your brand. So I always do things in threes, as I mentioned before. In marketing, that's a good strategy. So think beginning, middle, end. So I always do one post that's business, Another one might be a quote, and another one that might be me talking about something I'm working on. Well, anyway, I posted a picture of coffee on this random day, and this woman from Hawaii who had been following me for 2 years said, "That's it. I want to sign up. I loved your coffee," right? You'd think she signed up just for coffee, but really she just felt like she knew me that much. So when people get to see you consistently and they feel like you're a real person, they are more likely to engage with you, right? In a real sense. So I know it feels awkward, but I want you to start thinking about the story that you are telling. Now, I want you to know also that if you really, really have some questions and you want them to be answered, we don't have time to answer all of your questions today. Make sure to email us. You can email Jenny, you can email us, and make sure you subscribe. Well, Jenny, any final thoughts to remind people about? I know you shared the link before.
Yeah, I'll just share that one more time here in the chat window.
All right. So I want to say thank you to everyone who took time to be a part of this webinar. Don't forget, next week, same time, we will be back for part 2 of this. And I would love to hear what your valuable aha moments were. Please don't just stop here. We've got homework for you. I want to hear from you. And some of you, I actually want to meet with you to learn how I can help you to consider thinking about the story that you're telling around your brand. Well, it's been awesome meeting and seeing you all. Thank you again, and we will connect again soon. Thank you to SCORE for hosting this workshop, and you guys have a fabulous day. Thank you, Jenny. Take care.
Thank you, Allana. Thank you, Jenny. SCORE, I would like to thank everyone for being here today, and most of all, our presenters. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.